Welcome back. Well, things don't seem to be going too well for our hero and protagonist, May. She's alone. The decisions she's making seem rather questionable. She seems to be, sad and scared and upset and not doing a whole lot of planning. And she realizes she's not just alone and stuck. She's alone in a dangerous situation without even a rifle for protection. So let's see what happens next in our survival story. When Miss Sanders came to teach our school, she was the first to understand I could get the words from the book to my mind more easily if I listened to lessons. She didn't force me to read in front of everyone. Once, she brought me a book about a boy named Tom Sawyer because she thought I'd find Tom like Hiram. She read it during recess, just for me. But when Miss Sanders married, she left our school and teacher came. The garden has given up its last yield. Some withered string beans, a dozen potatoes, 5 ears of corn, one small head of cabbage crawling with bugs. Days and nights run together. Sometimes I forget how I got to this place or why I'm still here. Maybe it is October. There was frost this morning, but it melted quickly. There's no time left for waiting. There's nothing holding me here. I can't abide this place any longer. I pack my pillowcase. One extra dress wrapped around my worthless reader, one stocking filled with cornbread, one with biscuits. On top of this, 2 ears of corn and a cup. I button Ma's fine boots. I wish I had insisted on keeping Hiram's old ones, but I know Ma gave me hers for herself as much as me. A message to Mrs. Oblinger, fresh from the city, showing that women out here still have some grace. My feet will hurt, I reckon, before I make it far. The broom's my only weapon. I think on Ma, the way she swatted Hiram when he snatched the bacon. I grasp the handle, throw my pillowcase over one shoulder, and step out onto the prairie. How did Pa get here? I see nothing to point the way. I walk alongside the Oblinger's little creek, hoping it will lead to the river, to a neighbor, to the outskirts of town. The grass has dried to silver green. It slaps my legs as I push forward. Sweat trickles between my shoulder blades. Impossible to think there was frost just this morning. I have only the stream and endless grasses to guide me. Sometimes I see wagon ruts, a memory pressed in dried mud. If western Kansas had more folks, this would be easier. There might be a well-worn path by now. Grasshoppers whir, fly about me. I swat at them with the broom. My stomach clenches, so I shake some crumbled cornbread from the stocking straight into my mouth. Then up ahead, I spot the jagged branches of a currant brush. Late summer birds have picked over the berries that remain. I grab at what's left, red-black juice staining my fingers, eating, pocketing the dirty ones, squatting until my knees ache. I stand and stretch, look behind me, recognizing nothing. Something rustles, and I reach for the broom. Like me, the animal freezes. We stay that way until my shoulders throb. Then a jackrabbit leaps beside me. I drop the broom, fall back, glimpse it dashing zigzag. My breath comes short and painful. It was a rabbit, I say, but the words mean nothing to the weakness creeping up my legs. Here's what's true. Already, the evening sky is pushing back the daylight. Goose flesh tingles on my arms. I don't know where I am. I can't know where I'm going. And suddenly, I'm running back. I'm running. My heels slam into the hard-packed earth. Running. My breath's jagged. Running. Birds scatter from their grass nests. I need those walls around me. The pillowcase slaps my back. Pain rips through my ankle. I tumble to the ground and curse the hole I've stepped in. The sky is almost black when, limping, I reach the soddy. My ankle's purple. Those stupid boots. Fetching water today, I catch a glimpse of myself in the stream. Hair hanging in clumps, dress ripped at one shoulder. I haven't used the wash tub since the Oblingers left. My eyes study the dirty girl. I finger the last few currants still in my pocket. Maybe I could go back and check for more. If I hadn't been startled, if I'd stuck it out a little longer, I'd have bulging apron pockets. Maybe I'd have reached another soddy. That neighbor, Mr. Chapman's gone, but if I'd found his place, surely he'd have some jerky, a tin of soda crackers left behind. But now, with this ankle, I can't go far. And the wolf. I shiver, remembering how frightened I was of just a little rabbit. I sit beside the stream, dipping my fingers in the icy water. In summer, Pa and Hiram bring in trout, speckled bodies writhing in their hands. I trail my fingers, wiggling them, like Hiram showed me. Nothing happens. I run, holding my skirts above my knees. I holler and skip and make faces at the outhouse. I slam the door, take a spoon to the pots and pans. I whistle, I spit, think up as many unladylike things as I can and do them, out in the open, for the whole empty world to see. A thin sheet of ice crept across the water pail last night. I take the dipper and push through to scoop a drink, then stir the fire for breakfast. The sky holds the high white of snow. It is too early for this. I am not ready. Maybe there won't be a storm after all. Autumn is devious. Calm afternoons with no hint of breaking can turn violent, bringing wind, ushering in rain and even snow. Or maybe I haven't been paying enough attention and I'll get trapped out here in a blizzard on my own. Maybe. Snow is falling. Why did I not prepare when the weather first turned? I have left so many things undone. Maybe I should check the garden for one last potato. I should have gathered more chips to burn yesterday. Wind runs across the prairie, swirling snowflakes and brittle grass. I push through the icy gale, force open the barn door. Only one bale of hay is still intact. I squat to lift it, hardly seeing where I'm going, and make it to the soddy, more by memory than sight. My sore ankle complains. Back in the barn, I kneel in the scattered hay, scooping armfuls into my dress and press the hem against my waist. Outside again, the blinding white whips at my eyes. I bend my head for some protection. Snow gathers at the soddy door. I shove it open with a shoulder, dump the hay, and turn toward the barn again and again until what hasn't blown away is scattered across the puncheon floor. I want to mention that blizzards were a feature of prairie life. Because the prairies are so wide open without trees, there's nothing to really block the wind. So the wind can be very, very strong. And when that wind is combined with swirling snow, it creates a blinding effect where people can't see. They can't see in front of them. They can't see their hand if they stretched it out sometimes in a terrible snowy blizzard, which means they can and did sometimes get lost and freeze to death just feet from safety, feet from the door of the soddy they couldn't see. So this is a dangerous situation for May, and she's being brave to make these trips back and forth, but she knows she needs to be able to keep herself warm, and she doesn't have enough chips. So she's looking to hay to solve that problem. Once, after weeks of rain, Pa and Hiram and me twist hay into bundles for burning. Now I sit in almost darkness, binding hay in logs that won't flame out as just a handful would. Stepping over piles of hay bundles, bits of loose grass, I reach into the barrel for the last apple. For a moment, I think I've left the lamp burning, but the brightness isn't exactly the same. Around me, it's as clear as midday, the papered window alight. I slip out of bed, bits of hay stick to my feet as I pull open the door. A thin layer of snow blankets the entrance, sparkling in the morning sun. If only I'd not panicked that day I tried to go. But with the snow, it's too late to consider again. Whether or not I want to be here, I am. The sun is out. Ma's boots leave soft gray marks in the melting snow. It is too early for winter to last. I will be ready next time. My arm pricks as I lower it into the stream. The water's even colder than before. I press my body to the bank, trying to cast no shadow, reaching deeper with my hand. Why did I never try for fish with Pa and Hiram? Soon I can hardly feel my wiggling fingers, but I keep moving, hoping trout will notice. Something flits below the surface, curves gracefully, slips by. I watch for movement farther upstream and let my fingers dance like moss, like water bugs, like tadpoles beating tiny tails. Then I spy one. It's smooth, a ribbon of color running down its middle. My fingers wave. It approaches. I am close enough to stroke its belly, and with one quick jerk, I grab that fish and throw it on the bank. 3 fish. My stomach's full for the first time in weeks. I've thought through arithmetic and worked some problems on my slate. I've recited states alphabetically and in the order of their joining the Union. My reading, I've avoided ever since that day nothing worked right. Lamplight shines on my book, its blue cover frayed at the corners, then spine, a lighter shade in the middle where my hand grips, finger smudges on the back. I examine it like it's the first time Ma handed it to me, the reader she brought all the way to Kansas. She didn't know then. I didn't know. The tricks words would play on me. What if I were to pretend the struggles never happened? What if I were to open this book, go back, start fresh? My fingers feel almost as chilled as they did this afternoon under the water. But didn't I pull 3 fish to the surface? Didn't I gut them, cook them up, and eat my fill? Surely these words can't be as difficult to grasp, as slippery to work with. I find the page that tripped me weeks ago, press along the spine. I shut my eyes. breathe deeply. Tell myself, nothing will change or surprise me when I open my eyes. No one is listening. I have need... No. I have been informed that a stranger named Goodman, slowly may. Don't go on what you remember. The words begin to swim, but I hold fast. Just one sentence to push through. Have been informed that a stranger of the name of Goodman has settled near you. I press the cover closed with both hands. My heart thrums as I turn down the lamp, slip into bed, filled to bursting. From the calendar, I tear away 1 month, then 2. Is it October or November? Time was made for others, not for someone all alone. The fish rest deeper now. I cook beans day after day. Sometimes I bake cornbread, but the meal's getting low. If I eat just a little, there will be food for weeks to come. My mind knows this, but my fingers shake with every bite. And I've taken to checking my rations over and over, licking my finger, sweeping it under the cornmeal sack, hoping for a few more grains. The tin of peaches, still tucked behind the sugar, I won't open until I must. I pull it down from the shelf, hold it in my hand. Peaches, I read aloud. Fresh picked. My voice sounds funny, like that odd instrument Mr. Wolcott brought to the literary social last year. He pulled and squeezed the black thing. It opened like a folded piece of cloth. Accordion, I think he called it. Peaches, fresh picked, I say again. I move my finger under each word. Peaches, fresh picked. Ma would be horrified, but Ma's not here to see. I've slept most of the morning away. It would be nice to lounge and doze as long as I feel like staying abed, but it's more burden than comfort because of all the time to remember. When teacher came, I hoped she would be like Miss Sanders, but I should have known from the start. Teacher wasn't the same. I want to see what each of you is capable of, teacher announced, even before she sat down. Youngest ones first. We'll work our way to the top of the school. With a ruler, she pointed to the first row. Stand and recite the alphabet. Jimmy Thompson's lip turned down the way a newborn's does before it starts wailing, but he managed to make it through. Older grades. Teacher eyed us in the back. Rita Howard had to start over 3 times, her voice too soft for teacher's liking. Teacher scolded Hiram for rushing through his piece, and then it was my turn. I opened to The Voice of the Wind. With Hiram's help, I'd read through it just the night before. Did teacher sense what everyone thought as I walked, knees like water, to the front of the room? Their thoughts weren't audible, but I heard them just the same. I took a deep breath. Maybe this time I could do it. Maybe teacher would never have to know. I held my reader in front of me, high enough so I wouldn't have to see their faces. Both elbows squeezed to my sides. I am the wind. I am the wind and I... Rita covered her mouth with her prissy little fingers. I am the wind and I... Teacher rapped the ruler on her desk. Excuse me, child, what is your name? Warm tears splashed my feet. Something was broken inside. My new teacher knew. Just like my reading, my words were slow to form. Mavis, ma'am? Well, Mavis, she said, like my name tasted sour. I think you're sitting in the wrong part of the schoolroom. Kindly move to the second row. Ma'am? I turned my head just a little, not wanting to show my tears. She was seating me with the little ones? I said, she spoke louder now, like I was hard of hearing, move to the front of the room. I glanced at Hiram. He shrugged, but his eyes hardly met mine. I fetched my slate and slid in next to Jemmy, whose feet didn't yet meet the floor. Well, in addition to the current hardships that May is facing in the world she's in, when she's not busy, when she's not occupied, when she's not doing something to take her mind away, it wanders to the past and to challenges she's faced in the past, to bad memories. And those bad memories aren't of home. Home memories are good. Those bad memories are of school. As you may have noticed, May has a lot of challenges with reading. The words seem to dance around on the page. She can't make sense of them. She struggles to put them together. And those struggles are very painful and frustrating for her, because May knows she's smart. We've seen that May is an intelligent thinker, and she wonders, why can't she do this one thing? She wants to be a teacher, and she can't do this one thing that will hold her back. She doesn't give up. She works hard, and still she can't do it. Today, we would know what May's challenge is. May has something called dyslexia. May is a dyslexic, but that word wasn't known at that time, the way that worked. It's sort of like, has nothing to do with intelligence. It has to do with the way, our eyes see something and send that message to our brain, and our brain interprets it. But on the way, for May, it gets kind of scrambled, kind of confused. It's like she has technical difficulties. But those technical difficulties don't have anything to do with how intelligent she is, yet she imagines, and probably correctly, that everybody, especially teacher, is assuming that she's dumb. May has accused herself of being stupid because of these difficulties, but she's not. Dyslexia, this challenge with reading, makes it harder to learn. So people who do learn to read, and dyslexic people can learn to read really well. They just need to learn a different way than everybody else. So it's really important that nobody think of somebody who learns in a different way. It's really important that you don't, that teachers in particular don't, and nowadays they don't. They just know that May has a special challenge, but that May is smart. In fact, some of the people throughout history that we have considered geniuses have also been dyslexics. Albert Einstein, Thomas Edison, who invented the light bulb, famous authors, Patricia Polacco. You may have read some of her beautiful children's books that she both wrote and illustrated. In fact, she is so educated, she has what's called a PhD. She went to college for 8 years after she finished high school and became an author of, I don't know, 40, 50 amazing children's books. So we should never, ever imagine that somebody who learns differently than we learn, because we are all different. Some of us are great at some things and not at others. All of us are that way. And so we should all support each other so that we can be the best learners we can possibly be. And if you struggle, give yourself permission to struggle, but not permission to stop trying.